All right. Hey, everybody. It's David Schroeder here with Newrez Voices, another edition. I'm super excited to have both a new team member and somebody who's made a massive impact in a short amount of time on multiple fronts. So Everett Weathersby with us today. Everett, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's awesome. So, maybe you could start, Everett, with just, I mentioned that you're new to the team, a little bit about how you got into the industry and what led you to Newrez.
Crazy enough, I used to be a full-time artist, and led me saying like, hey, I wanted to get into mortgages. My first call was on the way, and I said, hey, you know what? It's time to it's time to make sure we have insurance, and we need to be able to take care of bills and things. And one thing I always prided myself in before I got into finance, that I was an impeccable salesperson. I always did very well in terms of sales of art. So I knew it was going to translate well into doing finance, and the art of finance is beautiful. It's amazing. Well, what led me here to Newrez, trial and error. I tried my hand on the broker side. I found out that wasn't for me. But I'd done some loans with Newrez while I was on that end, and everything just seemed like it moved so smoothly with the organization. So when the opportunity came up and George Milan reached out to me, I said, yes, 1,000 times yes.
That's awesome. So, you mentioned that you came from a background in art, and we had another guest recently who came from a background, he was a pastor and came in, and kind of the things that he brought with him from that. So, anything top of mind for you that as an artist that, maybe gives you a differentiated perspective or a way to approach the business that you can see?
Always coming up with creative solutions.
Yeah. I think that's probably right, that, there's a creative process of, seeing something through and looking at different ways to approach it, and knowing that, hey, if you don't like the color here, then you can fix that. Or, if you don't like the line here, there's always a way to keep going. And I think that's true in the mortgage industry as well, is that we have to expect that things aren't going to go perfectly every time. And it's all about how we react to it and how we make it beautiful in the end to close.
Yeah. Exactly that.
Yeah. So, I mentioned kind of the quick start that you've had, and it really has been remarkable, that within 30 to 60 days, you've gone from somebody who, had never seen our process, our systems before, and coming into a new office and a new team, and you're already, among the top 3 to 5 people in our direct-to-consumer group for production, which is just incredible. So, maybe you could talk a little bit about how you've approached that. How were you able to learn so much and then execute on it in such a short amount of time?
Early on in my career, one of the first things that my trainers and leaders told me is like, hey, this is $1 billion business. There's nothing that you can do to break the business. Go in, make mistakes. And that's a philosophy I still live to this day, is that I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to figure it out unless I make mistakes. A mistake is like one or two off thing versus a habit is something you keep doing over and over and over again. So if I go in and I try to tinker with the systems and things that we have, I figured things out just by trial and error. Sales is going to always take care of itself, because the only thing you need to focus on is having a good conversation. Systems and things like that, it just takes trial and error, asking questions, being the squeaky wheel. I know that sounds like an oversimplification, but that's how I've always gone about it. Not being afraid to break stuff.
Yeah, well, look, you bring up two great points for me. One is that being fearless going into it, that things are going to break, and that we have to accept that as part of the learning process. And really, I think that's how we learn best in life is through failure, which is the second point, is that just don't keep failing at the same thing. You have to learn as you go through. And so I think that's a great way to approach our business, as well as, like I said, life in general. You got to dive in, and you got to be able to accept the fact that it's not always going to work perfectly, but you take the lessons from it and you just keep going. Look, you and I were just together last week at our first annual Purchase Palooza. We had, amazing top salespeople and our support elements that are in the purchase business, whether it's marketing or finance. We had people from our operations team, all of that. And again, like I said, across the businesses of wholesale, retail, JV, correspondent, DTC. And so, one of the core pieces of that was talking about customer for life. And you were on a panel kind of speaking to how do we convey the value of what Newrez does in servicing, but also just how do we build relationships that people want to do business with us, they trust us, et cetera. So maybe you could just share with us a little bit about what you shared with the team on that panel.
Essentially everything that I was talking about, what you and I just discussed with regards to being solution focused. A lot of hand holding, and that's okay because you're supposed to. I always tell my client at the end of the day, I work for you. I'm your advisor. You have on your side someone that has over 10 years of experience, someone who averages 300 closings a year. It's going to work for you up until 11 p.m. every night. And the biggest thing I think I mentioned too is that business doesn't really start to happen throughout the day for me, and I think all of us, until we punch out. 5 p.m., 6 p.m., that's when people are actually available. That's when they start talking. And that's when you actually build those relationships and build those bonds, because at that time, they're just getting in the house. You may hear some kids, you may hear some dogs. Maybe they're preparing dinner, but they're having conversations with you whilst you're doing the same thing. And they hear the same things going on in your background too. And you actually start to build an actual bond with those individuals. And they don't just stick with just Newrez for life. They're going to stick with David, or they're going to stick with Everett for life, because you were there. And I know I can talk to you and reach out to you at 9 o'clock at night when I'm concerned about something, whether it's my first home or my fifth. Everyone gets cold feet around buying the house. I know people with 740 FICOs and have $1 million in the bank right now that I'm dealing with, and they're saying, hey, like, are you sure we can do this? It's like, hey, man, you can buy this house cash if you wanted to. What are you worried about? But that's normal and natural. And it's my job to not only instill that confidence, but to also make sure that they have comfort so that they can move forward with the process and feel great on the end. It's an emotional transaction at the end of the day. And I think that we need to always keep sight of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about that all the time, just the availability of our loan consultants, to work with customers on their time and when they're most comfortable, so that they can really dial in and make the connection. And the other thing that I felt like during the panel, you did a great job of conveying to our team is the genuine connection, the kind of personal connection that you're able to make with both customers and our realtor partners. I mean, it's a lot deeper than a transaction, and you could really feel that in kind of the stories that you shared and the conviction that you have.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite stories, I think it was maybe around May, June. She said, Everett, we got to make sure that we get to 5 closings, because that's what gets her paid at the end of the day, not just get into process. We got to get to 5 closings, or as many as I possibly can, so that I can take this time off because I'm about to have my kid. There was definitely tireless nights. We worked until 11 p.m. together. We already talk every day. We were talking frequently throughout the day, every day. We had some really tough clients that we had to help out too. Some that weren't the happiest, some were really easy. But at the end of all of it, at the end of the day, we got her to like 6 closings on that month. Just referrals and people that she was sending over to me. And she trusted me with that because she knew that I was going to deliver, and I was not going to just give up on her people, regardless if they were mean or if they were being very nice or they had 1,000,001 questions. She knew I was going to be available and take care of her so that she can take care of home. And she got to have that time off, and she had one of her biggest paydays this year as a result of that, us working together and her trusting me.
I love that, because we obviously make an impact for our customers and helping them purchase new homes and achieve the American dream. And it's also true, as you just shared, with our realtor partners, that the real estate agent partners that we work with every day, we're a massive impact on their success and their lifestyle, and they on us as well. So it truly is a partnership, and it's awesome to hear you kind of share that side of it. The other thing out of Purchase Palooza, and I touched on it a second ago, is just the cross-channel piece of it, that we had superstars from, like I said, wholesale, retail, JV, direct to consumer. And so I've always been a huge believer that it's not kind of one channel is better than another. It's a matter of connecting with people where they're comfortable and the markets where they are and the people. And to that end, in trying to connect all of these different channels, because there's great things going on in each of the channels with people who care deeply about their customers and their business. And so, a big part of the Palooza was just kind of the off times, if you will, of like standing by the bar, going to dinner and sitting with new people and sharing ideas. And I find that at all of these conferences. So all that said, what kind of things did you take away from maybe people in other channels that maybe you hadn't considered, or a new element that you can add to your game?
I think one of the biggest things, and when you've been doing this for so long, it's sometimes it's not information, it's sort of reminder, because we've forgotten more than we've learned, right? Actually being at open houses, going and to sit inside of a real estate agent's office with them and seeing what their day-to-day is like, doing little things like that, not to change what it is that we do in DTC as a whole, direct to consumer as a whole, but changing just how we look at the business on a day-to-day and how it is that we build our relationships and the things that we do in our processes. There was a lot of things that a lot of people said that I already do, some things that I used to do, and some things I know I need to get back to. Obviously, I have a very good process in place. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking to me, but we can always get 1% better. And I think who I really appreciated hearing from and talking to was Rich. He was amazing as well. I think his name was Matt. He's one of the President's Club retail, I believe. Yeah,
Matt Kuglin. Yeah.
And I love the way that they have their business structure too, to be not only a leader and having these people around you that you're teaching and training, but also you have the ability to be a producing leader. Someone like myself, I talk to my real estate partners that have been working with me all year. They're like, yo, if or when you get promoted, where am I going to send my loans to? And I always reassure them, like, if I have a team, I'm going to make sure that you're still taken care of. I've got your back. So hearing things like that really made me happy. And I think that's an amazing piece of the pie in terms of our organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up the point of just how successful you are today, and yet you can always get 1% better. And the other part of it, and we had a conversation about this after the event, is just the listening to top producers on panels. There's a lot of it where you're kind of saying, I know that, I've heard that before. The difference is that the top producers, and this is in any field, I'm sure, the difference is that they actually do it every day. They do what needs to be done. The things that we all know, the simple, basic things that define success, they execute it on it every single day. And so it's a lesson for all of us to do what we know we need to do, and to do it with conviction and passion and excellence at the highest level. They don't take anything for granted, and then they build on it with new things, but it's really just those core things that we all need to do. We know we need to do it every day, whether it's prospecting or posting on social media, all these things. So what was that a similar kind of takeaway that you had from some of these top producers you heard from?
1000%. Something from the beginning of my career, I'd always be spoken to from my leaders at that time is that, you'll see some very high producers sometimes get into a slump, right? And every time that they get into a slump, they're trying to figure out what's going on, what happened. You've been doing this for so long that all these things become second nature to you, and you start building on top of those things that you were taught originally that got you to where you were. And we all know that what gets us here is not going to get us there, obviously, but what will end up happening is that they stray so far from the basics, and their leader would just, come up to them and say, hey, remember this? And it'll be their sales script. They're like, man, I haven't looked at that since year 1 or year 2, et cetera. And they start getting back to those things. And next thing you know, the business explodes.
Yeah.
Because we all forget sometimes. So it's important to keep those things top of mind and always just revisit them. Or even when we are trying to revisit those things, to look up articles and hear what other sales professionals have to say, whether it's in our field or not.
Yeah. And I think it's also, as you say that, it's the importance of having a network and being involved in conferences like this, because sometimes it's your leader or, your spouse or whoever is telling you these things that it just doesn't hit the same way, but you hear it from a new person or a different way, and it's like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to do that. So, I think it's one of those valuable things, just to always be open to the feedback and ideas, and however it hits you, let it hit you, and keep getting better.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing with sales, right? One of my team members can sell alone and say the exact same thing that I said, but say it a different way, but it will resonate with the client better. And that's what they're going to end up working with. So sometimes you just need the packaging is just as good as the contents. This is what it comes down to.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So we were talking about a minute ago, one of the specific real estate agent partners that you work with, and the impact that you've made for them. And look, our relationship with real estate agent partners is just foundational to our business, and we're always looking to get better there. Is there like a kind of top 2 or 3 things that you feel like are most critical to earning the business, earning the respect of real estate agent partners when you're prospecting in that area?
Speed and honesty. Something isn't going to work out, you let them know immediately. I don't think this is going to work out. Any issues that you foresee or problems you foresee, you let them know. You respond in a timely fashion. You call them in a timely fashion. You want to beat them to the punch on any and everything that's happening or going on, and ask them questions. And that availability. I know this stuff sounds like oversimplification, but it's about actually executing on it and doing it. Again, that availability is always going to be something for you, because Saturday and Sunday are coming. And when Saturday and Sunday come, as much as you want to kick back and relax and, maybe watch the game, you still have to make sure that you don't have that phone on do not disturb, and that you can answer those phone calls and answer those questions, because just like Saturday and Sunday are coming, Monday is coming as well. And they may have something coming up, a closing, appraisal, what have you. And you need to be there to be able to answer their questions. Always be on standby.
I love that. I love it. And it's so true. I know, reading the surveys from our partners, that's a constant theme when you see like why people rate us super highly. It's because individual loan consultants were available when they needed them, when their client needed them. And the other thing I'll just add as an aside for the audience is that the actual number one thing when we ask real estate partners, what can we do for them? They say comment on their social media. They're looking to build their business as well. And so anything we can do to help them amplify their reach is helpful. And so it's just little things like that to demonstrate we're in this together and we're partners is hugely impactful.
Yes. What did you call it? The hospitality, just unreasonable hospitality.
Unreasonable hospitality.
Yes,
right.
That's it. Yeah. Just taking that extra mile. Correct. I agree.
Yeah. So, you're a sales pro. You've been doing it a long, long time. One of the things that every sales pro is thinking about are objections. And, how do we address that for the customer, to answer their question, to help them feel good about any uncertainty they have? So, off the top of your head, what's the number one objection you receive every day? And is there kind of a structure to how you think about responding to that?
I think the biggest objection that I receive on a day-to-day basis is just people not being ready. That's all. And you think it would be something deeper like interest rate or closing costs. I think that I've gotten into a specific spot in my career where those aren't objections anymore. Those are conversations. And because when we get to that point of the conversation with, interest rates and closing costs, we already have such an amazing relationship built up, and there's some good rapport there that it's just a talk saying, hey, well, this is that because of this. And those things just become questions and conversations. But real objections you only get, for me, is just upfront, or maybe initial phone calls, people saying they're not ready, or maybe now isn't the right time. And that's where we go back to the beginning of you and I's conversation here, saying it's my responsibility to inject confidence and comfort for the client, to make sure that they feel comfortable with what it is they're going to do, because this is not just a financial transaction. 80% of this is an emotional transaction. There's a why behind why people want to buy a home or even to refinance or to take cash out of their house. It's never something that you just want to go and do just to do it.
Yeah. I love that. Everett, I remember when we were at the Purchase Palooza, I had made a comment about leads, and you corrected me and said, we shouldn't call them that because they're people on the
Yes.
other end. And you're exactly right. And words matter. And I love what you just said in that context about it's not really objections, it's conversations. This isn't like a game or when someone's got to win here. It's a conversation, and we're trying to build a relationship, and we're trying to understand each other as people. And I think that's a really good mindset for us to have as sales professionals as well, is that, yeah, we want to be great at what we do, and we want to be prepared for those conversations. But again, it's not a matter of winning, if you will. It's a matter of having a conversation and making sure that the customer feels great at the end of that.
I agree. I always say to my people, you have to be more personable than you are professional, because people want to talk to people, right? And you have to make sure you meet people where they are. There's probably a plethora of things that you know about the business, seeing that you've been in the business so long, and a lot of it you could talk to me about and you could talk over my head. But that's not the point of having a conversation. The point of having a conversation is the point to connect. So you would break those things down to make sure that I can understand those things properly. It's our responsibility as professionals, as people, to make sure the person on the other end of that phone, that they're able to feel that we're trying to connect with them and not overspeak them or talk over their heads because they don't know what a mortgage is. I'm one of the people that can admit I didn't know how to spell mortgage until I even got into the business, So to be in this spot and understand those things, I want to make sure that I can reach them the same way that I want it to be reached and taught, and make sure that they have a good, decent understanding of things so they can feel confident in their decision making.
Right. Yeah, it's a powerful way to think about things. So I appreciate you bringing that. And you brought a ton to our team, and I'll transition there to say, you've been with us now, I don't know, three months maybe. Is that right? July, August, September.
This will be my third full month.
Yeah, third full month. So you've got a little bit of time now to kind of reflect on both why you chose Newrez, like what was the Newrez difference, but also like now as you've lived it, what would you say to loan consultants or other prospective team members that are considering joining Newrez? Like, what are the things that they can expect that Newrez offers to help them build a career and to have something that's really fulfilling as where they spend, a lot of their days?
I think that one of the best examples is what's happening here right now. It's my third month in, and I'm having a conversation with my chief revenue officer. I've been at places where the owner, CEO, SVPs couldn't even be bothered to have a conversation with me when I was trying to point out things that we could do to improve our business. You've been here having conversations with me since day one. George has been here having conversations with me since day one. I have an ops team that is readily available like it's the bat phone. I can't tell you how many times that I've called Nikki, how many times I've reached out to Desiree or Stacy and any of these individuals that are on my team, and they've been there to help and been there to guide me to where it is I need to go do something or what I need to do for anything. Like, I'm availability on their end as well. Same thing as what I do for my clients, and being able to collaborate. The collaboration here at Newrez is bar none. Just being able to have those open conversations, figure things out, question things, say that you want things to be fixed. There's been so many things that my team as a whole, not just me, have said, hey, we think it would work better if we did things this way. And it's like you just waved the wand and it got done. No, we're not siloed off. I don't see any ivory towers anywhere here. It's just a great place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I obviously I couldn't agree more. And I think you hit on it out of the gate. The thing that makes Newrez so special for me is the people. And, I think a lot of people say that about their company. And I hope that's true when they say it. But I can legitimately say that I'm excited every day to get up and get into the office and be around the people that we're around and to interact with folks like yourself and just across teams, whether it's operations or marketing or sales or finance, whatever. I mean, it's just a great group of people that are similarly focused on doing the right things, learning, advancing. So I agree that is the difference to me. And what we're looking for when we think about recruiting is just people who want to be great team members and make an impact for our customers. So it's the human factor.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. We're talking about people and what makes people fun to be around in a lot of ways. You've been a top producer for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the keys to that is, and we talked about it earlier, is consistency. Keeping up your energy level, keeping up your enthusiasm to make a difference, maintaining the will to learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in your kind of playbook that kind of you use every day, whether it's working out or things that you read, or how do you personally stay at the top of your game and keep growing?
That's a great question. The thing that keeps me going, the things that gets me up every morning, the thing that has me remaining inquisitive, two people, Preston and Elon, my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old. They're incredibly inquisitive individuals. They've changed my life for the better and just opened my eyes to so many things, and reminding me every day to just have that curiosity and wonder about the world. There are things that my sons teach me through me teaching them, and I bring those things to the sales floor, because remember, it's not work life, it's life. So
Yeah.
but there are things. I had conversations with my sons walking to school this morning, and about sharing and making sure that we leave room, that when we are sharing or making compromises, that we make that same room for other individuals as well, because it's give and take, it's ebb and flow, it's about harmony. So there's always something that when I'm dealing with my sons, that I just able to reflect and bring back to the business, and it gives me that energy.
Yeah, man, I love that, because one, you're talking about kind of the purpose that you're a provider for your children, and we talked about that last week with our broader team of just why do you do what you do, and I think for a lot of people that's the core, is like I'm going to provide for my family, and I want to do something that I'm proud of and they're proud of. And like you're saying, that there is so much to learn from children, and just their openness to new ideas, their resilience, going back to our earlier topic on
Yes.
shaking off failure and just keep going and try something new. And I think kids, probably more than adults, are more open to other people and new people and just less judgmental. And so it's I think that's a superpower, to be open to new ideas and people, and it certainly is in sales. So yeah, that's very helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, we meet new people and have to talk to new people all the time. We have to keep that wonder and that curiosity about what's going on. And it's not just another transaction or another lead. It's another opportunity to make an impact for the greater.
The other thing I love about what you said, and I had shared this with some folks earlier this week. I got an email, and the thrust of it was, every day people have their to-do lists of what they're going to do. And this individual, Josh Linkner, had made the point of we should have a to-be list, because we're human beings. And so what are you going to be today? And that should be consistent, and it should be aspirational. Like I wake up every morning and I legitimately write down like who I want to be. And I think about that. And, as I said, when I shared it with folks earlier this week, I don't always reach that goal, but at least I have the clarity, or I feel like I have the clarity on what it is, so I can, the recurring theme of our discussion, bouncing back from failure, dust yourself off and say, okay, I got to be better today, tomorrow, whatever. So that's awesome. You've done a lot, like we've said. You've had a fascinating kind of life with art and work and family. If you were going to start over in the mortgage industry today, what would you, or what do you tell somebody who's starting off and, as you said, can't spell mortgage? Like, what should they know? What should be kind of their priorities in getting started to reach kind of the success that you've had?
Focus on having great conversations. The technology is going to take care of itself. There's nothing that you can break or disrupt within your organization. Just going to like bring it to its knees, and until you actually know how to do things and how to question things properly, have blind trust in your leaders. Just trust them. And most importantly, when you do start seeing success, don't get too full of yourself. There's always a bigger fish, and there's always somebody that's better than you. So be aware of how great you are, but also be aware of how far you have to go.
So I think what's really powerful about what you were saying there, Everett, is that there's always a bigger fish, but there's always something new to learn. Having been in this business now myself for over 30 years, it's which is just crazy to think about. I literally learn. I don't just learn one thing every day. I learn multiple things every day. And it's both about the mortgage industry, but also because the mortgage industry is so broad. There's marketing things, there's political things, there's just so much that goes into it. It's so important to our economy and whatnot, and then the scope and scale of Newrez that I just can't help myself, that from learning new things every day, and that's just like jet fuel to being excited about what you do, but also being humble, which I think is your broader point of just knowing that no matter how good things are, you can always be better.
Yes.
I love that. So
the industry in itself, I hate to call it an industry. It's a sentient thing. It's living. It's alive. There's always so many moving parts. You have the market and interest rates. You have guidelines that change every 6 months, every year. The things that you could do in 2008 you couldn't do in 2016. The stuff you did in 2016 you can't do in 2025, and there's even things that you could have done last year you can't do this year. So it is an organic thing, and in order for you to keep up with it, you also have to be a part of that living thing as well. So what do they say? Either if you're not living or learning, then you're dying.
That's right.
Yeah,
I think that was was that Red or Andy from Shawshank Redemption? Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, this has been great, Everett. Before we let you go, anything we didn't talk about today that you would want to share with either our team members or our partners who might be watching this today?
If it was easy, everybody would do it. Our competition or the things that are against us is not other mortgage entities. It's not the broker from around the way. It's the person in the mirror every morning. It's the social media things that our clients see online saying they can get a house 100%, no down payment, with no job and no social security number. Those are the things that we combat against, and those are the things that those are our actual objections. And all of those things can all be traced back to something very small, but yet heavily important, and that's education. The more you educate yourself on how to function on a day-to-day, how to communicate, how to be emotionally intelligent, and how to make better connections with all the individuals around you, the more successful you're going to be. And to the point, or the theme of everything that David and I have been speaking about, you're going to lose. It's important to be a good loser, because you being a good loser means that you're going to be an excellent winner, because you always know where it is you come from, and there will be no room for pity parties or anything like that. It's like, hey, you win some, you lose some. I was just talking to one of our partners yesterday. Her name is Ashley, and I told her, I said, my brand is the same. Hey, it's Everett Weathersby. I've been helping great clients like yourself for the past 10 years. On average, I close 300 mortgages a year for great folks like yourself. So you're going to be in great hands. And when you hear that, you're like, man, like, that's great. This guy's been doing this for 10 years and he closed so many mortgages. How many mortgages do I lose every year? Way more than I close. Because there's always a blind spot that all of us have. And that's where that 1% comes in, to take it from 300 to 500 or 600, whatever it may be, to get your volume to 22 million on a year or 22 million in a month, depending on what side of the business you're in. Those are the little things. So just know that you're going to lose, and you're going to lose more, you're going to win, but the wins you're going to see are going to be huge.
So Everett, you brought up this notion of really leveraging leadership and approaching them with questions, and having a dialogue to learn everything that you can and kind of challenge the norm in a lot of cases, so that we all get better. So that can be intimidating for some people. How how do you find the courage, or are there ways that you approach coming to leaders, whether, certainly it's probably easier when you're dealing with a leader who you've been with a while, but maybe it's a new leader or a leader from another area. How do you think about approaching them with ideas or questions?
That's a great question. I'm a confident guy. I think that you've learned that much about me so far. You rip the Band-Aid off, right? There's a saying from where I grow up, scared money don't make money. Okay, so if there's something that you see and something that you want to exhibit to your leaders, just do it. Just do it. There are different, archetypes of personalities and things like that. So if you're one of those people who strive for perfection, or you're a perfectionist, you're never going to get your idea out if you're constantly trying to be perfect and make sure that you show it perfectly. Get the idea out while it's bad and half baked, because you know what you get as a gift or a reward when you get it out that way. You get feedback. I can give an idea to you right now, David, and I have 10 years experience, and you would come back to me and say, I like this, but you need to do this, 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 and this, because you have 30 years experience. That's good, because now we've started the dialogue. Don't be afraid to be wrong, and don't be afraid to be right either. And be grateful that you're going to get the feedback at the end of the day if your idea isn't fully baked out, or there's things that you didn't think about because you don't know what you don't know.
Right. I think that's right. I also, from my perspective with, because look, I'm in the same boat. I mean, we all have, there's always a leader that's, that we're not as familiar with, and that we want to work with, or we want to learn something from. And so I always try to come at it from a position of humility as well, that to acknowledge that I don't know what I don't know. So I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying, hey, I was thinking about this and I could be wrong. Can you help me better understand it? Or whatever you want to do. But, I think sometimes people make the mistake, whether it's with leaders or peers, of coming at it that this is wrong, or, this is broken. And in a lot of cases, we find out it's actually not wrong, or it's not broken. We just don't understand why it is the way it is. Bingo. And if we're open to that, and presenting it kind of humbly, and to the fact that, hey, there's something I may be able to learn, I find that in most cases there is an opportunity there, either to make the process better, make the experience better, or just to educate other people, because I'm probably not the only person who's feeling that way or experiencing it. So let's make sure everybody understands then why it is, because we're all going to do better when we understand why things the way they are, and our level of control or lack of control for that, and we can all move on. So like you say, I think it's fearlessness and humility.
And that inquisitive nature at the end of the day, like where we're talking about that childlike wonder and curiosity, it's being inquisitive about what's happening, what's going on. Most times when you frame things as a question versus as a statement or a demand, you'll get a lot further.
That's right. Yeah, and I think you're right. That's a good thing to add, is the curiosity to it, because I think when people get into a mode of just putting their head down and just doing it because that's the rule, or that's the way it's always been, I'm not gonna, there's a disempowerment to that. There's like it's just so much more fun, talking about how we get fired up to come into work every day. How much more interesting and fun is life and work when we feel like we're an active participant, and we're like, hey, this is something I can change, or I can make better, or I can learn something new. And so, I think I know you're right that we all need to just continually look at it that way, that we are active participants in the process, in the experience, in our own lives. So
agreed.
Yeah. The other thing that we talked about earlier was the unreasonable hospitality, which for our audience, it's a book that we've been sharing around our company. I've received it from a vendor. I've received it from a team member. And we actually did an exercise at the Purchase Palooza where we were exchanging gifts, and it was kind of we didn't know who we were going to get, and people, the people who we had been assigned kind of our Secret Santa kind of approach to it.
It was fun
to do research on and exchange and talk about it. And there's a lot more to the book than that, but maybe you could speak to just your experience with unreasonable hospitality and how you weave that into your sales.
And people love surprises. Good surprises. You know, like not like you didn't foreshadow the process and now I got to pay
Right.
$1,000 and didn't know. Good surprises. They want to get $1,000 instead, right?
Yeah.
I think that I think that when we talk about that, since I've sent some gifts to clients in the past, and I sent a cutting board to someone once, and I just remember them calling me back, like laughing. I think I put on the cutting board what their old interest rate was and what the new one was, and it's like that's one way to cut a rate, and it's on the cutting board, right? Again with the creativity.
Yeah.
That was fun. And what I've had another instance with blankets, I put the interest rate on there too. It's like, because some people will say like that 599 isn't going to keep you warm at night. Well, it's on the blanket now, so yes, it will. But just those fun and goofy things, I think that people really love and appreciate. So it's just about thoughtfulness, and this doesn't mean you have to do things that cost a whole bunch of money or anything like that. George even said it's sending a simple thank you note to your clients and to the real estate agents. That goes a far way.
That's right.
It just shows that you're actively thinking and you're proactive in the things that you're doing. You're intentional in the things that you're doing. It's not just a knee-jerk reaction.
That's right. And I think there's a couple of things there. Well, first of all, like you say, the intentionality of it, of just, I've taken time to think about this. It's not like I just hit a button and the, branded whatever went out. It's like, hey, we have a relationship here. I know you personally, and I knew this would be important to you or resonate. And as you note, it may be important to you just to get a thank you card that sees you. I see you, and I appreciate you for what you do. Or it could be the creativity of a blanket with an interest rate on it, or as we were doing that exercise with the Purchase Palooza, there were just some incredible levels of thoughtfulness that people had put into it, and there's something to learn from that. I think whether that's in prospecting to break through and show a potential real estate agent, for example, hey, you're not just the agent that closed this much business last year to me. You're somebody that I want to get to know, and I've actually put some time into getting to know you up front. So can we have a conversation? That's going to hit different than just, hey, we've got this product. And
if you want a friend, you got to be a friend. And ironically enough, I was just telling my son that last night because he was talking about playing video games. Say, hey, if you want him to be your friend too, you got to start off by being one. And then these are friends. We're collecting friends at the end of the day.
Unbelievable. I love it. What a great way to end our conversation. I appreciate you taking the time out today with me and for our audience. So until next time, thank you, Everett. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Newrez Voices. We'll talk to you soon.